Good afternoon. We are here to start our session on the coffee session on Sendai Framework Monitoring and Disaster Loss Accounting. It's exactly on the dot 3 p.m. here in Bonn. However, we will give a few minutes to colleagues to join in. We have 18 colleagues as we speak. The numbers are growing. Maybe as soon as we have about 20, we can start. Oh, no one more is coming. 18, and we are at 18. There we go. We got 20 participants, at least now. So, good afternoon, good morning to colleagues in the Western Hemisphere. And I still know colleagues who have also joined in from Asia. So thank you so much for making the time, and especially at such late hours to join us here. This is the first Coffee with Data session for our training of trainers on Sendai Framework Monitoring and Disaster Loss Accounting. You will recall we had last Thursday on the 15th of October, we had the first session which covered the administration module of the disinventar after, of course, an overview of what we talk about in terms of disaster loss databases. Today's will be a bit technical. Today, we are talking about the IT aspects related to disinventar. It will cover things like installation of the system, things like setting up the database, both in terms of the geographical coding, as it is a georeferenced database, and also on the hazards and events that go into that. So without much ado, I will call upon my colleague, who's again joining in from Bangkok, quite late in her evening area, to moderate the session. And I'd like to make a special reference for our colleague, Mario UNDRR, who will be with you, who is going to be basically the lead on taking this technical session. Over to you, Aria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rahul. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. And thanks for joining us. Welcome to this Coffee with Data session. I apologize, we don't have virtual coffees. Technology have not get us there yet. And apologize as well, at this time, my connection is not very stable, so I will not be using the camera for that reason. So as Rahul has just mentioned, this is a Coffee with Data session focused on IT clinics, and it might get quite technical at some points, but the idea is here to cover some aspects that are common questions related to the installation of the software, but also aspects related to safety, security, data privacy. So what we have planned for you is we will have our IT specialist, Mario, presenting and explaining, making a demonstration on some aspects related to the installation of the software in your own servers. And he will show you also some aspects related to privacy, security, and others. And then we will take few live questions, if any. And also then we will try to address some of the questions we receive via email from the participants, as well as some of the questions that were posted in the chat in previous sessions last week, either in the morning or afternoon schedule. Some of them were addressed during the sessions, some were not. So we will have now more time to respond to your queries, and also try to show you more in depth some aspects related to administration and some aspects related to database configuration. So without further delay, I will pass the floor to our colleague Mario. And again, thanks to Mario for making the force. He has been joining the previous session very early, like in the middle of the night, his time. And I don't even know what time is for him now, but also, I guess, not very convenient time. And thanks also participants for coming. Feel free to keep posting your questions on the chat function, and we will try to address them as we go in this session. Thank you, and over to you, Mario.
Thank you, Iria. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mario Yandar. Again, only for my introduction. I'm going to start a little bit the camera to present myself. Sorry. Yes, now. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, maybe for Iria. Okay, this session is about the technical part for this inventory. The first part is the installation of the software, and the second one is a complementation of this structure now for the use for this inventory. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and we can start. Very good. So in this first presentation, we I copied this slide for the first administration module in this inventory. Do you remember probably that in the presentation, Iria present this inventory.net that is the production server for the databases and for the UNDRR, and we have also the training.desinventar.net that is our training server, specifically for this practicing and play for the system. So the second part, we have the possibility to install locally the software. This installation is useful for a very specific database, local databases, play with the system also, maybe manage if the institution or even the researchers have a specific use for this inventory, this installation could be work. So for this installation, we need three things. Okay, this inventory is a Java application for run into the one server or a PC computer. We need a Java application server. In this exercise, we're going to use Tomcat. We need also a database management system. We have several that in the inventory is supported: Oracle, Postgres, MySQL, SQL Server, my Microsoft Access, or Derby. And we have this inventory. In this case, we need a WAR file. The WAR file is a kind of the installation program for the Java application server. So in our first exercise, we're going to install in Tomcat. However, it's possible to use several other Java application servers. Has Oracle, JBoss, WebSphere, Glassfish. There are several. That decision probably, if you are available to use in your institution, could be addressed to the IT office probably. If they use one specific Java application server, you can use and install this inventory over one of them. In our case, we're going to use Tomcat because it's very easy. It's very, the requirements of this system is very low. So the first part is install Tomcat. Now we can run Tomcat. If you see in your computer, if you use Windows, you can see this button icon there. Now you have installed Tomcat locally. Usually you have the domain that is localhost. You have a port that is this 8081. And now in this URL manager, you can use the Tomcat for add new software. In this case, here in this part where to deploy, you can choose the file here, and our file is again in this address, this inventory, and deploy. After we deploy, the next step here is access to the application. That is, again, localhost 8081 and this inventory. The port could be managed. It means you can change during installation of Tomcat. You can change that port, mainly because maybe some other application are using this port. Remember that this inventory is D and I capital letters. So now we have this inventory installed locally. Next step here is use, configure the basic parameter for the system. So this inventory require, in this case, I install here the database module for myself only. That means I don't require any password for the administration. I defined this here. You can change if you want. The database type, in this case, is Derby, that is recommended. Or even if in your institution you manage Postgres, Oracle, or other databases, you can use any of these. Remember that if you use Postgres, Oracle, MySQL, you need a username and password. Now we need a database connection string, this line. In this line, we define the database, that is the main database. For this inventory, we need to use here for store the list of countries, databases, list of users, and the basic instruction for the usage of the inventory. Very good. After that, after the creation of the main database, now we can create the initial space to run the database. And you can use here this first option, click the run the initialization script, and the system create the basic system. So ready. That part is very fast. I understand that part, but the idea now is use the local system. You can start clicking in. I'm going to stop here and share again my whole screen to. Okay, very good. So in my computer, I'm going to find, remember that we use Apache Tomcat here and monitor. Yes, I need to start, and I have here my icon. I click here, start service. And in my application now, I going to use localhost. Here, install this inventory in port 8099. And I have here my local installation for this inventor. So remember that the URL always distinguish between the installations. Okay, in this installation, I have 3 databases: Brazil, Madagascar, Uganda. This is testing database or database that I copy from the production server. So we're going to use the one exercise to do that. So I'm going to here, this inventar.net. I'm going to use, for example, Barbados. I click in this database. I can see that we have information in this database. So I'm going to make a copy of this. I click download and here select Barbados. This database, my idea now is create a new region in my local installation for this inventar. Here we are. I click here in this option to download the database. Remember that this action only could be performed for the public databases without any password or any authentication. Now, in my local version of this inventar, I click administration and I'm going to create a new region. I add region, BRB, that is Barbados. Barbados. I need to create here the directory to remain the maps. I'm going to select etc, this inventar, and here I can create Barbados. Perfect, and select the folder. I'm going to use Derby as database because it's only my computer the use for this database, and basically that is all. Save region. Click to run the initialization script, and now set the database. Okay, we have Barbados here. So the next step here is check the region. I select Barbados. In geography, we don't have anything. We don't have any event, no causes. And in edit data, we don't have any data. So we have 2 options now. Start the database since 0. It means you don't have anything created. You can start creating the geography events. Or in this case, I'm going to import. I'm going to admin option. First step is upload to directory the database that I copy is in desktop. I have here Barbados. I'm going to upload the database. It's very fast because everything is local. And now I'm going to import standard XML. That is the format to share in this inventar between the systems. Now I check etc, this inventar, Barbados, and the Excel. I need to import everything: events, codes, levels, geography, maths, and click. So now the system is importing the whole structure for this database. The idea is, oh, it's very fast, very good. I finished. The idea here is have a copy or a local copy for this database. Now, if I click in geography, yes, we have parish. We have events now, causes, and data. Very good. So the next step now is set the maps. You see here that, sorry, I'm going to again. I click here in geography. See here this option, manage maps. And we have in this database only one level for geography. So the geography is managed in shape files. You need to address the path for the map, that is etc, inventar, Barbados, and this is the only layer for my geography. We need here two values. ID level, that is the codification for the parish, in this case, select, and name, that is the column with the name. Perfect. Click here in integrate the map with the region and save. Now, if I check in analysis module, you can see here the whole parish, the events with data. In view map, yes, we have map here for Barbados. And if I click in profile, again, we have yes, we have same structure for the database that we already have in the production site. So this is a good way to make a full copy. And we have now the possibility of check in this database the structure. If I click here, yes, I see the information for this database. So this, I'm going to stop here again to present, to show this part. We have database in classic version, and also we can migrate this database from classic to Sendai version. In this case, the database of Barbados is in Sendai version. We can see several fields, and the information is deployed in targets and indicators, has the Sendai framework. So, but also we can use databases. I'm going to home. I'm going to select Madagascar, for example, and in this database, if you click here in view data and check the data, you can see the information set here, the effects mainly in the classic mode. So the way to migrate this database is you select Madagascar, you can go to Sendai mode, and you can migrate the whole database to support Sendai targets and indicators. I'm going to click here, and very good, it's finished. So if I select, remember that all these things I made in my computer, because here I am administrator of all these databases. The original database in the production server remain equal. I don't touch anything. Feel free to use or play a little bit with the database. Now, Madagascar have the information. The previous data, if you see here, the system only put in the correct place according with the Sendai framework, and that's the idea. In this way, we have the possibility now to disaggregate, for example, by gender, by age, information over the people. Very good. This is our first part for the installation in this inventar. I think that we have space now to address some question over this process. And in our second part, we can discuss questions and answer Yes.
Thank,
Very good.
thank you, Mario. Thanks for this excellent explanation, demonstration. We have few questions in the chat that I would like you to take them if possible. So we have first a question from Lydia, SPC, related to when exporting the database, does it package all the different files formats needed for localhost? Myself, I'm not too sure I understand the question. So if Lydia, would you like to come in and make your question live and maybe provide some more details so Mario can address it? Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Mario. This was really just in regards to when you're exporting the database and then when you're setting up the local host. I noticed, when you're selecting the XML, so when you're exporting from Desinventor, is there anything else needed, or is it a straight export? And then when you're setting up the local host, that you're just basically referring back to the same folder or file?
Yes, if I understood correctly, the export process is used for backup purposes. That if you have a Barbados database, for example, in the production server, you can export and save for yourself. And also we can, or you can upload to your local installation. In this case, the whole structure of the database remain here in CETC, for example, the Inventar Barbados. If you see here, I have my database in Derby format and the whole files that I upload and compress here. So the whole thing remain in your computer with that purpose. I don't know if your question is related with this part, if I understood correctly.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I was asking. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. So we have another question.
Thank you, Mario. So we have another question. Yes, we have another question from Cambodia. So Mr. Sopal from UNDP Cambodia has a question related to maps. Maybe Mr. Sopal would like to ask your question live.
Okay. The problem is when I on the semantic map tab, after generate map, we click on Google to see the map embedded in the Google Map, but it said this page can't load Google Map correctly.
Yes, you're right. Okay, we are working on this. Basically, if you see here, analysis, build module here. Okay, this work because it's being basically the issue here is that we reach with a free account the number of the links to the Google Maps. That's why we was now out of the usage for this. We are migrating to Bing because here is open to use this functionality, but the functionality shows approximation of the location into the map. That is the functionality. Sorry about that. And you're right. That's what your question is, isn't it?
Just when you click on semantic map to generate a map, and yeah,
Yes, that
when
this
you
part, isn't it?
you click
Yes,
on Google, on
yes,
Google bottom,
same region. Yes, that
yeah,
yes, that's why. The reason is that we reach the limit of the free account, but
yeah,
also alternative right now you can use here option virtual map.
virtual
That
map.
is basically, yes, is a Bing map, I think. Yes, and the functionality is open here. Maybe we can address for Google to complete use for Google Maps, because it's a free tool and it's a good project. Maybe we can address to Google to make functionality, full functionality again. Thank you. That,
Okay,
and
thank you.
exactly
We
for
can
the,
use virtual map instead.
very good. Thank you. So our second part here, we're going to check some question and answer. I'm going to click here. Very good. So the idea here is deploy several questions in some thematic areas. I start here, try to define the whole database. What is the purpose for the system? So for the database definition, we need to define which kind of database we're going to use. Basically, this could be not restricted to national databases. For example, Barbados. We can use subnational databases. For example, we have some states for India, that is subnational databases, or we can use the Cimentar to create and manage a database for cities. There are several examples here also. You need to define that which kind of database you need to manage. The geography, define the number of levels and the geographic level, the geographic units that you need to use. In this case, remember, for example, the case of Barbados, they only use one level for the geography, basically the first one, but another database use 3 levels of them. And remember that the relation between the units is a nested relation. It means that in the case of the provinces, several provinces belong only to one region, for example, or several municipalities only belong to one specific province. Also, you need to define your wording to create the users and the permission for them. That is the first step for the privacy and the security. Is not good idea set a lot of permissions for everybody in the whole database if they don't require. And define your data sources. Several countries define one specific data source. For example, the disaster management institution to create for that purpose. Other use newspaper, for example. So you need to define, or even researchers or research documents or other kind of sources. You need to define this. Okay, related with security, The governance for the security in the inventory first is provided by the software. The production server in UNDRR use HTTPS protocol. S is the security part with the encryption for the communication. Also, we perform periodical backups for the databases and the system. So that kind of policies provide security for our data. In your standalone installation, you have option, for example, if you use internal networks, you can use firewalls, or you can add to the sysadmin policies to remain the security in your local installation. The level of security sync here, we have in the inventory owners that can create regions and manage the users into the system. Also have the administration rights. The administration can add, can manage events and geography, and had a function as operator. An operator only can manage data cards. This management is adding, editing, or deleting data cards. So according with the data, we have these two questions, probably similar for the purpose in this inventory, related with long-term events or ongoing events. In the first case, with long-term events or events with difficulties to set a specific time or a specific locations. In this inventory, I'm going to stop here and checking in my inventory here, Madagascar, for example. I'm going to data entry, new data card. And in this inventory, we have the possibility to set a day. This date is composed by year, month, and day. But in this inventory, only is strictly required the year. That's why in the case for example, I have here 2005, and in event, my event could be drug. Drug is a very hard hazard to define in which specific day or even month start. So we can use only the year to refer that this drug start in this year. Same thing about the region. Region is composed, the geography is composed in this database by region, district, and commune. And it is possible that in this case, we exactly know that the drug start in this region, ANOC, but we don't know in which specific district. Or maybe we can say that it's one specific district, but we don't know in which commune start. So this is the possibility to use the time and space to say that according for our database. So only year or year month in the case of the time, and only the first geographic unit could be used for the events with for the data cards difficult to set in geography. And in ongoing events, you can use another criteria to set the information. For example, if it's an event that still is in process, you can set the information once by week or once by month. That is another possibility. At the end of the month, you compile the whole data for the whole month, and you can create into the system. So dealing with data, remember, we need to create a data card. We need at least the year, at least the first geographic unit, one event, one hazard. We need to select one, and we need at least one loss. Remember that this is our target for in the databases. Okay, another question. Can we associate multiple data cards? Yes, we can, using several options. You need to define the criteria for your own database. For example, if we know the causality, we can use the field cause. In this case, you can say that this tsunami was caused by earthquake, or this tsunami was caused by landslide, for example. You can use glide number. This glide number could be used flexible in the way that glide is an international initiative. You can use using the international glide, or even though you can extrapolate hence an internal glide to correlate several data cards. or use of serial number to easy access to several data cards that have things in common. Use of location for specific places is also possibility to associate. For example, in one specific river, in one specific mountain, for example, also it's possible. Or use of extension to create your own data. Very good. And this one that maybe Iria want to
Yes,
complement.
thank you. Thank you, Mario. Thank you very much for addressing the questions. Those are some of the questions we received through the chat in the last session. So this one was related to how we assess capacities of member states. So we understand capacities to manage information, capacities to manage disaster risk. So Decimentar is a tool for database management, but there is some tools for capacity assessment, and there is partnership of multi-agency partnership, which secretariat is in Geneva, held by UNDP, and it's called CADRI, and it has developed multiple modules on capacity assessment tools, generic one on DRM capacities, and also specific ones in nutrition, food security, climate services, infrastructures, and many others. I will share with you the link shortly, but just to let you know, those tools are being updated and improved, and this mechanism, it works at the request of member states, so governments that would like to have some support in conducting an assessment, and then brings in contributions and expertise from different UN agencies, but also non-UN agencies such as IFRC or others. So it's very interesting tool that you can check online. We'll share with you the link shortly. So those are the questions that we had more or less received so far. But now, because we are in this session today together, you have another opportunity here if any questions that have emerged during these days where you were practicing on just now, looking and listening to the demonstration by Mario. So that's the time you have now the opportunity to ask these questions. So please raise your hand and I will pass you the floor. Or if you have any problems with your mics, feel free also to post your questions on the chat. And also if there is any challenge with language, don't be shy. Mario is a Spanish speaker. I'm a Spanish speaker. I also speak Portuguese and also can address questions in French. And we have other colleagues that could address other questions. So don't be shy. If language is an issue, please feel free to ask the question in the chat, and whoever can speak and read your language, we will, if we can, we will address them. So any questions that you may have at this moment? Okay, so maybe while you think about your questions, just share a little bit more on this question on the glide number. So we saw in the chat last time that someone was referring to a local glide number. So yes, the glide number is a unique ID of disaster that just is attributed to disaster events that meet certain threshold for registration in global database. When you're working on your own country database or your own city database, you don't need to use those criteria for registering events. And actually, you probably don't use them because you might register events that don't meet those criteria. So even if there was not a state declaration of a state of emergency, or even if there was less than 10 casualties, for you it still meets some local definition of disaster event. And therefore you have registered that in your database. So in those cases for disasters that do not meet those international requirements thresholds, but you still have registered them, you may have developed at your country level some unique ID of disasters. And that's quite helpful for helping you managing the information and help you making sure that, for example, for a cyclone, that you may have registered in different provinces or in different communes, data cards on the impact that have had on that specific commune, that you can also aggregate the information and have the overall picture of what has been the impact of that disaster event, that cyclone in all the districts, regions, or provinces affected. So that's a solution, and there are many countries that are working on doing that. So I have posted in the chat what are the components of the glide number, and it used the ISO code for the country, and then use the year, and then some digits, 6 digits in this case, and then some used as well some some hazard type code in this case in English, but you may have in your countries, you may use you may have specific codes for states or for regions that you may use, and then also you can use, instead of, for example, earthquake, instead of being 8Q in English, it could be others in your local language, a code that it makes sense for you in your local language. So that's just to provide you a little bit more detail in that question of the glide number of the unique disaster ID. So let's see again, any additional questions from participants, anything you'd like to know more about? Maybe while you think, Mario, I remember from the previous session, there were a question on languages. Maybe that was a good question, I think. Maybe you could show participants how we can change the language in the Cimentar and what can be changed.
Yes, Ire, thank you. I'm going to use here the production server because also it's possible here do that. If I click in analysis, for example, and a database as Angola, or any database, is you can select in any case and change your language here, for example, French, and you can see here now the menus and several of these definitions into the database change to the language. So these work in almost 70 or 80% of the whole test. Remember that several of the information is related with the database. So the complement of this is take out this option of English data, then can show the information that the database register internally in their language. In this case, if the information is in Portuguese, I think, well, we can do anything to translate here, or we can do very few to translate these sets. But you have the possibility now in your language to manage this. Several of these of Arabic, for example, works in several ways. Yes, feel free to use this in your language. The same thing works in your local installation. You hear, I don't know, Chinese, anything, but probably same thing for other languages.
Thank you, Mario. I don't see any other questions, so maybe I was thinking one question that came in last time related to can we authorize one user to they enter data only on one region? Maybe could you show an example how we can do that? For example, that we create a user that we all only give them access to enter data in one region or one province on one specific level.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Remember, this is my local installation. I'm going to, again, home, administration. In administration, we have this tab, security. In security, we can add or manage permissions and users. I select these users, ToT 2020. I'm going to edit to see which role this user have into the system. This is an operator that this user can add there or delete data cards. The user is set here. I'm going to change the password because I don't remember which password used for this user. Okay. And save. Oh, password is too weak. I need capitals and low letters. So this means that it's another filter for information for remain privacy. Okay. Now ToT, I'm going to select here and give permissions. The permission is granted for specific databases. In the case of Madagascar, for example, I'm going to select this region here, Madagascar, and in Madagascar, select, and for Madagascar, select authorization. I click here, gain permissions, and add to remove. Okay. Here in Madagascar, this is level 0, means the first level. I'm going to set permissions for 1, 2, 3. These 3 regions of Madagascar to add, delete, or edit data. Select and click done. Very good. Now I'm going to here click my permissions is for Madagascar and in goes edit data. But I have a problem in the database because my administration is a full administration. So I'm going to change here. Anonymous access is not allowed now. I'm going to create with username and password. Save parameters. Click here. Out. Now my user is ToT 2020 and 2020 connect. Yes. So this user only can see Madagascar. In Madagascar, in geography, I don't have any access. I'm not allowed to manage geography, not allowed to manage events, codes, extension, no. Edit data. Probably I can edit and probably I can add data. I'm going to add data, new data card, and in region, only I can use these 3 regions. that is different that the database have another regions, but this user only can select for these regions. So, okay, this is source, draft, cost. I'm going to select electric store and save. And that is the way to use the permission for the database. Maybe any question about this functionality?
Thanks, Mario. Is there any
Very good.
question on this aspect?
Yeah, there's a question in the chat box.
Oh, yes. So we have Samir from UNDP Iraq who have a question in regards to local installation. Maybe, Samir, would you like to come in and ask your question live to Mario?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I installed Windows local installation, and when I start working, it says there is no database, and then a default database has been created at a certain location, and when I try to connect, I get again the same message. So I found the database was created, but it seems that the system cannot connect with the database.
Correct. I assume that, oh, I don't have permission here to this. And okay, I assume that this could be for two reasons. Maybe you are using MSS Access as main database. We have issues about the driver used for MSS Access that is quite old. And that's why the recommendation now is use Derby, because basically Derby is a database for Tomcat or for Apache and works better. The second reason could be permissions, but I assume that in your destination folder you have the whole permissions to write, to create files. I assume that it could be work. I don't know if you test the two options.
Thank you. I will check them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If we have more questions, maybe we can address now. However, the whole information could be accessible in the prevention website.
Thanks, Mario, and thanks, colleagues and participants, for all these questions. We are now 2 minutes to the closure. So yes, as has been clarified in the chat, the presentation will be shared, and the video sessions, the recording of all the sessions will be shared, but we are editing the videos to make it more manageable and to make it more interesting for you, so it doesn't get so long and sometimes repeated from morning or afternoon. So we bear with us because we will need some time for that. And now, if there's not any further question, there is a question on the training mode. Maybe this is a quick one, Mario. If they can install the training mode, I think that's a question that you could easily address, Mario.
Sorry, the question is, I don't follow.
The training mode, I think maybe Arif was interested in know if they could install the training like we have the training server and the production server, if they could have some kind of training server in their local host for training purposes.
Yes, the usage for the training, basically we don't have a training mode. We have the same software installed in a different server to training purposes. Basically, that is the idea. You can use your local installation for training, for creating databases for yourself, if you want. The software is open to use according with the needs of the users.
Thank you, Mario. And we have now we're about to close, but let me pass quickly the floor back to Rahul, who would like to share with you some additional clarifications in terms of the training and the modules and all the information that you should have received. So please, the floor is yours, Rahul.
Thank you so much, Iria. So what I'm going to quickly do is share my screen, and I'm trying to address some of the queries that came. So just, sit back, relax. We're not talking the actual data here. We're not talking about the system here. We're not talking about DisInventar. We're basically talking about the training of trainers, and what we've been sending you and what you can expect from us and where to find what. Because what we realized is there are a number of questions that are coming about where to find what information, and I fully understand that, because it's not easy to always trace the emails. So what we are trying to do is, before every session, you will receive an email from us. So a day or the morning of that session, you will definitely receive an email from us. So what you see on my screen, if you would, firstly, you should look for an email from UNDRR Bonn. That's the email address that was there. You would have received one email on the 15th, and you would have received an email early morning today as well, or late night, depending on where you were. Late last night, you would have received an email from UNDRR Bonn. It was an email with a blank in the to, and it had a couple of attachments, and I wanted to just show you what those attachments were. So one is a guidance note is given there, and I'm wondering if you are able to see properly, or maybe I can increase it a bit. Yeah. So this guidance note gives you a flavor of what the sessions are about. What are we talking in which session? Yeah. So we had, as you can see, the check-in sessions on the 14th, which many of you joined. Thank you so much for that. And then the main sessions. The main sessions, as you know, started on the 15th. And it gives you a few points about what the main sessions are. So basically, as you saw last Thursday, we had a 55 minutes precisely sessions. First a 55-minute session, then a 10-minute break, and then another 55-minute session. So more or less, that's the format we will follow for all sessions that happen on the Thursdays, which are main sessions. What we are doing today is the Coffee with Data sessions. So the Coffee with Data sessions are an hour sessions, again, 9 to 10 Central European time in the morning, and 3 to 4 in the afternoon. What you will see again here is, as mentioned, between 15th to the 3rd of November, we will be covering the area of disaster loss accounting. So this is basically what we are talking about. We're talking about DisInventar, we're talking about loss databases. We will talk about good practices from different partners on loss accounting, on disaster related statistics, on different aspects of institutionalization of the databases. For example, this one will be part of the Thursday's main session, but we're going to get feedback from other organizations who are working on this area. So we will share experiences on that. That's the main one of the main objectives of that. And the other one, as you are already seeing live now, is to take on your questions. As mentioned here, every week, please don't think of this session is over in an hour's time or in 2 hours time. It's open for you. Please send in your questions, and we've given there an email address. You send those questions to the sandradelali.undr@gmail.com, and every Friday, we will compile all the questions, and the next Tuesday, in the Coffee with Data session next Tuesday, we will take up most of those questions, which is what, as you remember, Mario did earlier this afternoon. So that's what we're planning to do, take up the questions and answer those questions, and then also take on live questions as we speak. Thereafter, we have in that guidance note, you will have, of course, those the web links. So here's the synopsis of the agenda and the web link. So it's a bit important to just track the right session. So if you're doing a morning session, you should take one from 9 to 11 CET, and the afternoon session for this link, because obviously if the links are just fixed for that time. So if you click on that link at a different time, then obviously it won't work. So just to keep an eye on that. And then again, the Coffee with Data sessions. To one important point, because some colleagues have been asking, we will provide a participation certificate. It's not so much a kind of a fail, or pass or testing kind of certification, but mostly a participation certificate, for which we are hoping that colleagues can join at least all the main sessions and 3 of the 6 Coffee with Data sessions. That's our request. And we would expect colleagues to join those sessions. Then this is a very important one, sharing the training materials. So a number of colleagues have asked us about the link. I hope all of you received this. Or you basically looked into this. This is the link for the platform that we have created exclusively for this training. So so what you see on my screen is, as you can see on top, the UNDRR's 3rd training of trainers on these topics. And if you go to the library, you will see we have started populating this with the information that you need. Now, on my computer, of course, it opened immediately with this by clicking on the link. But however, when you do it the first time, there are certain steps that need to be taken in terms of creating a username, password. So those steps are mentioned in this guidelines as well. So they really mentioned how you create the password, and once you have that, then there's no problem. This particular link, you can just go there, and every time you click on this link, you will this web portal will open up, and you will have the references here. So the documents here will only increase over time. With every week going, something or the other will be added. So for example, today we were talking about everything to do with the disinventor, the technical details of disinventor. So if you look there, there is a disinventor Sendai document web link. You click on that, and you will go straight to the page where all these manuals are there. The things that Mario and Iria were talking about, they're all there. These manuals are there. We just to be sure, these are not manuals to be read. It's not your bedtime reading to be read from cover to cover. Please, we do not expect you to do that. It's not your homework to read all these big manuals. These manuals are primarily for you to, as reference documents, when you actually do the installation, you actually do the the data entry, when you do the the georeference coding. These manuals will help you, right? That's the objective of those manuals. So just wanted to so this is available to you in one link on this site. Apart from that, some other references are there, and these are going to be, as I said, are going to be only added from time. More and more will be added from time to time. I think that's more or less, yeah. And then as we move from after the first 3 weeks, which are basically from the 15th of October to the 3rd of November, we move into from disaster loss accounting to the Sendai framework monitoring part of the training. And in that, we are expecting all colleagues, all participants to please take an e-learning course. And this is the e-learning course. It's called Orientation on Using of the Online Sendai Framework Monitor. Unfortunately, we don't have something like that exactly for disinventor, but for Sendai Framework Monitor, there is, we've actually launched this with the help of our partner, Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, which most of you would know, the ADPC, popularly called ADPC. So we've come up with this training, online training course. And again, the link is given there. You click and you reach the main page where you have to enroll for this course. It's not a very long course, and we are hoping that all of you can take the course by the 31st of October. We are requesting you, because you get on this also, you get a certificate. You get a certification that you have completed this course. So once you get this certification, we request you to send this to, again, this Sandra Delali.undrr email that we have given there. So just the certificate which says, you have, so and so has completed the course. For us to just get an idea of that you've gone through it. So we basically know, when we trainers are training, we know that what is the basic kind of understanding and knowledge you already have of the monitor, so that we can build from there. Because as you would have seen from the agenda that we shared, and that's the other thing that also was attached to the email. The agenda doesn't go into the targets like A, B, C, D. They are looking at specific areas, but of course, in the coffee with data and others, we will cover those. So if I can take the last maybe 30 seconds, and I think I did that last time also, and sorry, I'm just. So this is the agenda, and so just to close, so as you can see, we are today on the 20th of October, which is the Coffee with Data, which was to do with the IT links. There has been a request, and we fully appreciate that, and we will do that, is to give a little more details. We kind of announced it the previous session, but we'll also put in some more details, because you see, it'll get even more interesting now with more partners coming in, showing their work. We will also share with you in advance some of the stuff that will come up in the next Coffee with Data session. So we will mention that in the reminder emails. So you will see now on Thursday, day after tomorrow, you have this sessions on the analysis module and the establishment and establishment and installation of the disaster loss databases. We were just considering that we may flip the two, but flip the two means or just within the time, but it will be on Monday. These two topics will be covered. So maybe we cover the establishment first and then the analysis module, or this way. But these are the two topics that will be covered on Thursday. And then again, on, as I said, till Friday, whatever questions that come in, we take up on the next Tuesday, the 27th. Similarly, we then move ahead. And as I mentioned, after the 3rd, we move into the Sendai Framework Monitor. And that's where we have these topics to be covered. This is all in the email that we have sent to you, at least from Sandra. You have received on the 12th. I have sent it on the 15th from the email called UNDRR Bonn. And again, this morning or night, depending on where you are, you would have received this email from UNDRR Bonn. Just wanted to highlight one thing, that some colleagues have said that they have not received it and they realized that it went into their spam email. Usually, sometimes the private emails go, so that's why we are using the corporate email we have of UNDRR Bonn. So to the extent possible, it should not go, but then that is something not in our control. So if you could just spread the word, because obviously if you do not receive the email, you can't say, but if you can just spread the word that if colleagues have this challenge, they should always check the spam once, and but you can be rest assured you will receive an email the day before or the morning before. I'd say the day before, you will receive an email. And if you don't, please feel free to write an email to us to know if an email had come out and you didn't receive it. So you can be assured of that email every time we have a session. So every Monday before the Tuesday events and every Wednesday before the Tuesday event, you should be receiving an email. I'll stop here. If there's any particular question about the ToT and any issues that you're facing, in fact, even challenges or any critiques that you have, we'll be happy to hear, and also any questions that you have. I think otherwise, from the technical substantive point of view, we are through with the training, right? So Iria, we can assume that, right?
Yes,
we didn't have any further questions. Okay,
yes,
so
we didn't have any further questions.
Perfect. Yeah. So the floor is open for colleagues, and we are through with the 1 hour So, feel free to stay back and ask us the questions, or feel free to also move on if you have other commitments. So the floor is open for any questions on the training itself, and comments and feedback. Thank you. Luis, I see your hand. Luis? Do I see a hand? Luis Sisul?
Yes.
Perfect. Yes, please.
Hello.
Please go ahead with your question. Luis, you had a question. Your hand was raised. Your hand was raised on the electronic hand is raised. So did you have a question, Luis?
Hello, may I ask a question?
Yes, Abdullah, yeah, please.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Is it Rahul talking? Hello?
Hello, yes, please go ahead. This is Rahul speaking. Yes.
Yes. My request to you that this inventor installation is one of the major part of the training program, and without the installation process knowing fully, the rest is not those are important, but this is most important part. So today's lecture given by Mario for the first half an hour, can it be repeated, or somehow maybe the glimpses of that for 10 to 15 minutes in the next session on Tuesday, can it be repeated?
I think that's an excellent point. I will take it up with Mario and Area, and we will definitely come back with some solution. There was also some requests for the videos. The thing with the challenge with the video is we are doing very high definition, the HD recording, because we want to make this very professionally edited video of the whole training. So unfortunately, till that is done, the size of just the raw feed is so high that it was a bit of a challenge to share that at this point, because it goes into like hundreds of GB, like 500 GB. I mean, it'll be very difficult to kind of put it on somewhere where you can access it. But what you suggested, I think is a possibility. Let me get back to you. Most probably in the email that we send out on how we can address that. And we fully understand your point that yes, the installation and the system itself is probably one of the core part of the training. So yeah, so let me just consult internally, and we'll get back to you with an answer on when we can cover this. So with a synopsis, and we can already actually share with you this particular presentation. I mean, we'll just see if there's anything to be checked and all, but after this session we can already upload the presentation for you. But we'll also come back to you about having a synopsis. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else? I mean, feel free to speak directly. So I don't see any particular hands. So I also don't. I'm wary of your time. I mean, frankly, I'm very grateful that you're giving us so much of your time, and even beyond the time that it's allocated. Because the coffee with data sessions, to be honest with you, we kept it for 1 hour because we weren't sure. We kept it because it's open ended. It's not something that we had said, okay, we have all these presentations. Though we are calling in some of our partners to speak on this in the next sessions. You'll see that. So that's why we kept it as just like a virtual coffee, just like if this was a real in our good old days of 1 year back, when we had trainings and workshops in face to face, you would always have a coffee break, right? That's the best networking time, and we we don't have that opportunity. So that's why when we spread this training out for 6 weeks, we said, okay, we can't just have session after session. We should also have some coffee together. So what started off as this initial idea of just kind of touching base and hearing your questions and answering those questions, we found that there was so much interest in this topic, and colleagues wanted to share it, and that's why you see there's so much more than that, just having a virtual coffee or tea, whichever you prefer. So I think unless there's any particular questions, so this is how we will go. And please feel free to also, if you don't have questions and you want, like Abdullah mentioned, it was an excellent idea. Just give us your feedback so we can, the good part of a training like this is that, we can adapt to a certain extent. I mean, we can't change the whole agenda, but we can always adapt to the feedback that we receive. So we're very keen to hear from you, what you expect, what could help, and we will try our best to adapt to that. So, and as you can see, we've kept the topics light. We are not looking at a long period, because many colleagues told us, why don't, I mean, before, when we were making this ToT, that there's interest, so why don't we have like 4 or 5 hours a day? We can do break 2 hours, another 2 hours. We just go for a 4 or 5 hours, and then again for the afternoon session the same thing. But what we understand, especially from technical capacity development experts who work on this, is that this 2 hours is probably the most optimum time that we can retain when we are having a dialogue like this online. That's what we are told. Beyond that, you lose people, you lose the concentration. So that's why we've tried to package everything within this kind of a time slot. But as we said, if an idea like that, what Abdullah mentioned, comes along, we are we'll do our best to adapt. I can assure you that. And please feel free to give us any feedback, good or bad. We are here to hear, and we are eager to listen to you, and then try our best to adapt to it.
Morning from Panama, Rahul.
Yeah, please.
This is Carlos from UNDRR office in Panama.
Yes, Carlos, please.
I have a very serious concern about the coffee with data, because
there's no coffee.
There's no coffee for a Colombian as me.
Yes.
I was waiting for no. I was wishing everyone have a cup of coffee on his end. I have mine, and I really enjoyed the presentations today. But it is a very particular session, and it's very appreciable. So congratulations to the Bond team for organizing this.
No, it's the whole team that we are putting together. And just to clarify, we haven't told Carlos, because he's from UNDRR. We haven't told him to praise us and put up a nice word for us. But Carlos, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just wanted to clarify that colleagues don't think we said Carlos, in between the meeting, just say a few good words for us. But about the coffee, yes, Iria also said that this morning, that unfortunately, we started early morning at 9 o'clock, and we don't have coffee because Zoom and all other platforms has given us so much. As they said, you may have heard that there's a McKinsey report that has come out saying that apparently the human race has gone digitally 10 years in 6 months. That's apparently the how much has been the leap of the kind of digitally what we are using, the tools that we are using, which was not possible. Just the bandwidth, just these how we are reaching out. So as Iria was saying that this morning, that even with all those technological upgradation, we haven't been able to send coffee across the world. That's our challenge. So maybe in a few years we will be able to even share coffee or tea on an online platform. Let's hope for the best. Any other feedback? And as I said, colleagues, please feel free to exit the room whenever you want. I mean, because some colleagues have time, some colleagues may have other commitments. So, but we are here. If you have any questions, please. And in fact, there was just one idea that we were sharing among ourselves. So you would have seen that at the beginning of the event, or the day, or the session, and in the middle, when we had last Thursday, we were putting up some music. So what we were trying to also get music from actually from the region. So our Africa regional office colleagues shared with us something from Cote d'Ivoire and others from Senegal, from Ethiopia, which we will play. It would be great in our breaks if anyone would like to play some music just for a change. We'll be very happy. Just let us know that you'd like to play. You can either send it to us. I mean, a link that we're not downloading anything, just a link to play, or you can play as well if you want. Just let us know so that we can coordinate that. I think it helps in these trainings to have a bit of we will try it out. We'll try it out. Let's see if it doesn't work. We'll know, but let's do that. So you of course, this is the short one. This is just 1 hour, so we don't have so much time, but definitely in our main sessions, in between the breaks, we can hear some music from our different parts of the world. So we're looking forward to some Asian music, some Latino music, Carlos, some as I said, we've got some nice African music from our colleagues, so and Europe and Arabic music as well. So please feel free to share with us. Thank you. Music, we just putting in some music for us to relax as we fade out for the day today. Thank you.